And we're back with Despina Priala from Priala Legal discussing another hot topic, director identification numbers that are coming soon. Despina, can you tell us exactly why these ID numbers are being introduced?
Sure. Well, these are going to be called a unique identification number that are going to be allocated to directors. And directors will have until 30 November 2022 to actually obtain one. So the reason why ASIC has brought this in is they're trying to stamp out illegal phoenixing. So this is where you have people who have false identities, which have been happening for a long time. They set up a company, they have a particular identity. Then that company collapses, and what they do is that they transfer assets from that company to a new company that's set up, and they become the directors of that company but under a different identity. So then you and I would deal with that second company without knowing that, oh, this is the same person that actually hit the headlines last year with the company collapse and owed, $5 million to creditors, for example. So they're trying to stamp that out, and this is a really, really good way, and I've been waiting on this for years because I know how easy it is to set up a company. Clients come to us and we set up companies through online for them, and you don't have to provide identification of those directors and officers of the company when you set it up. I mean, me as a solicitor, of course, I have to have verification of identity from clients, but when you set up the company, you don't have to give that information. So anyone can go online. There are different websites you can create these companies, and you can create your own company, and you become a director of a company, and you don't have to give your identification when you set that company up.
Right. So in other words, if you didn't go through a lawyer who was totally above board, or if you did it yourself, you could be anybody.
That's right.
Anybody.
That's right. So lawyers and accountants set up companies all the time, and we obviously identify clients. Now you can go online. There's various websites that I can give you where you can just set up a company. You don't have to give any identification, and there you go. So now you won't be able to do that because you're going to have to provide your DIN, your actual director's identification number, when you get it issued to you. So if you are an existing director, you will have to apply for one through your MyGov account. Okay, so that's how it's going to work. But I think it's a great idea because you can imagine, I mean, it's happened so many times in the past where we've seen companies collapse and individuals go bankrupt, for example, who might have been directors of that company. The company goes into liquidation, and then, 2 years later, people have found, isn't that the same person that was involved in that other company? But it's a completely different identity, or false identity, I should say, that was provided for that second company and third and fourth company that they set up. So it really has to be stamped out because this illegal activity has been going on for decades, and it has to be stopped.
Yeah, and there would be subcontractors, so many people that would lose out because they're pretty much washing their hands.
Yeah.
Could be on millions of dollars worth of debt.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. So the ASIC commissioner himself said when there was a parliamentary inquiry last year, when they were talking about introducing this regime, and he was saying, look, anybody could call themselves Elvis Presley as a director, set up a company, and Bob's your uncle, off you go.
Thank you very much.
Exactly. And you don't know who they are. So this has been happening for years. I think really it's very much overdue. And I've thought about this myself for a number of years, that it's so easy to set up a company and you don't have to give much other than you give your name, you give your address, you give the name of the company you want, you give the street address, and sometimes people don't give their proper addresses. They give false addresses because if someone's going to sue you, they do a company search and they find, well, where's the registered office? And lo and behold, it's not really a proper address, or it's someone else's address. So they never get served properly.
Why do you think this has taken so long to get to this point?
Why does anything take so long? Changes in the law. It's just incredible. There are other things, perhaps that have taken priority. Maybe it's taken this long for ASIC to get it up on their, on their list of things for it to be signed off by the government. I mean, last year through COVID, we saw an unprecedented amount of laws that were passed, never seen before. I've never seen that before in almost 30 years. And that was because of the pandemic. So everything else sort of gets, left by the wayside. It takes an enormous amount of time for change to occur. We've got to have parliamentary inquiries and other inquiries, and bills that are circulated for review and consideration and comment. So it always takes a long time, but I hope that this new regime will actually do what it's supposed to do and what it's designed to do, and that is to stamp out this illegal phoenixing. That's the primary objective, with illegal activity. So I really do hope it happens, and people will be forced to actually obtain this. So if you are an existing director come November 2022, if you haven't obtained it, you will be forced to obtain one. You can't just sit around and in your companies for the next few years saying, oh, well, I'm already a director, I don't need to worry about it. Actually, no, you have to. You'll be forced to get one. So I think it's a very, very good regime that they're going to introduce. So hopefully we'll see lots of benefits in the future and, stamping out of that illegal activity that I talked about, and it'll be reduced. I mean, the fraudsters are always out there and they're always going to find a way to get around new laws and new regimes. But hopefully this will be a little bit more, more harder for them to do that, more difficult.
All right. So this is something that will definitely happen?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. It'll definitely come in. Yep. So it's going to take all this time, I suppose, to get the regime and the regulatory authorities to get ready for the change. You can imagine how many companies, and I don't know how many companies exist in Australia and how many directors we have. So to be able to have all of them come on board and to obtain this DIN for them, it's going to be huge, which is why I can imagine, yes, 30 November 2022 is the cutoff, that you'll have to obtain that. So plenty of time to get organised.
And by the sounds of it, there might be a few directors who will be looking for other employment before then too.
Perhaps so.
A few companies going under, yes. That is Despina Priala from Priala Legal in Runaway Bay. And if you are seeking legal advice or have a question for Despina, you can phone her on 0755 291294 or text her direct on 0400 141 269. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you next week.